This is Long Shots, VSiN's premier golf betting podcast. Here's Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds, and Kelley Bydlon.
Hello, and welcome to VSiN's Long Shots. It is the Tour Championship edition. Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds, Kelley Bydlon coming to you guys. It is the end of the season. Pretty good season all around. Wes, congrats. Another outright for the pod this past week on Viktor Hovland. And, you know, Kelley and I talked a little bit about this yesterday. We didn't win every single week. And, you know, certainly I think we did a pretty good job of when we didn't have good weeks, letting everybody know we didn't have good weeks. And on weeks where we did have good weeks, let everyone know we had good weeks. And I think that there were more good weeks than bad weeks amongst the three of us this season. And look, I'm pretty proud of what we were able to accomplish this year on the podcast. And I hope, if anything, and, you know, Kelley and I were talking a little bit yesterday about the feedback that we get. And some of the best feedback for me is people just saying like, hey, you know what? I never really played placement markets until you guys really talked about them, or I never really played head-to-heads until you guys really emphasized the importance of those things. And honestly, to me, that's better than, hey, I tailed you on an outright, because we want long-term success here on the pod. We want long-term winners. And the only way to do that is to keep your bankroll healthy. And the only way to do that is to play these alternate markets. And so, you know, all in all, pretty good season for us. And I'm pretty proud of what we did here on Long Shots.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty proud of what Viktor Hovland did, shooting 28 on the back nine. I thought it was over. I was like, okay, I'm playing for second, maybe at best here. And look up, I know you were there with Max Homa, the 10 birdies on Friday as he shoots 8 under. I think he finishes T4 or T5. But yeah, Viktor Hovland, look, just got on one late in the round. And the fact that to run down Scottie Scheffler, which is very difficult to do. And Scottie made one little mistake, and Viktor Hovland was there to capitalize. The shoot 61, by the way, on that course, even though it played softer. And we talked about the fact that it might play softer on last week's episode, but I did not expect mid-teens was going to be the winning score. And to shoot 61 at Olympia Fields, the course record on a Sunday. Viktor Hovland looks like every bit the major champion here in the future. He's improved a little bit around the green in terms of that chipping, which is kind of still his weakness. But, you know, when you're knocking him within 10 feet every single hole on the back nine, you're going to make a few of those putts, and he did. So Viktor Hovland gets home at the BMW.
Yeah, even that short game. I mean, we saw that improve throughout this year, probably more than we have, you know, over the past couple years. So I'm with you. I think he's, as far as when we roll into next year and next season, when we really start this calendar season and that really begins, I think Viktor Hovland's going to be on a short list for me of who I'm looking at the Masters and who I'm looking at, you know, for majors pretty early next year.
Yeah, it's always that thing that we talk about with Vic is, you know, the guy's always right there, but he never goes and gets it. It's like he has that one blow up hole, and it's like he teases you over and over and over again, and not the case in this tournament. And I understand there's going to be the naysayers. It was a no cut event. It was only 50 holes. This course played way, way, way easier than it did in years past because of all the rain. I get everything. He still went and got it, Wes. Like he still went and took it. And by the way, he shot 17 under and no one else shot 17 under. So if you want to say that the course played easy, well, guess what? He got to a number that nobody else got to, and he cleared them by 2 strokes. And, you know, there's something to be said for that.
And he was paired with Rory McIlroy on Sunday. Rory ended up shooting 66, a lot of it on the back nine, but still to beat Rory McIlroy head-to-head by 5 shots, there's something to be said for that, because I think a lot of these younger European players do kind of look up to Rory. And so that's kind of a big thing, like, oh, man, I'm in a group with Rory. I mean, it's not near as like the Tiger effect used to be, but still there's something there. And he was able to get that done. Scheffler and Patrick tie for T2. So I arguably the best round that I've seen shot this year.
That's a good point on Rory too, Wes, because we talked about it yesterday. And I kind of was, you know, making the point of just, hey, this is, you know, how big mentally could this be for Vic going forward? The fact that he's able to win a tournament like that, but chase down Scottie Scheffler on the run that Scottie Scheffler's been on. But you're right. He's sitting there paired with Rory McIlroy too, who's been playing some incredible golf recently. He whooped his ass on Sunday. He whooped Rory's ass and then chased down Scheffler and won that tournament. I think it's going to be an incredible confidence boost for him going forward.
Yeah. And it's something that we, again, like it is a little bit, I mean, it's not as many players, but guys, again, this is like, it was a miniature preview of what we're going to see in several events next year, right? I mean, there are a lot of short field, no cut events. And we saw guys rocket up leaderboards that in other fields would have been cut. By the way, I mean, the day previous, right? Sam Burns was like, would have been either on the cut line or cut in a normal tournament, given like a normal cut position. And then he goes out and shoots 8 under and rockets all the way up to inside the top 5 after a day. So again, like things that we're kind of taking mental notes on, because we're going to see this a lot next year, these short field, no cut events. And, you know, maybe that is going to affect how we, Wes, like kind of go into the placement market stuff, because we know that some of these dudes that have it in them to go low, like not everybody's good. Not like we would all say, we have a handful of guys, I think, that we would all say, like, you know, look, because we've seen multiple times. Yeah, that dude can go in any given round, can go 6, 7, 8 under, because we've just seen it multiple times. And if that guy is kind of sitting in that weird spot, like these live top 10s, live top 20s and things are going to be still available. And that might be a market that we start to get involved with a little bit more than we have in years past.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, Matt. It's like, okay, how do we maybe expand our inventory in terms of his bettors for this thing? Because it is going to be a little more difficult with a lot more of these. I forget what the new term is. It's not designated event or elevated event. It's something new that the PGA Tour put out. But whatever it is, there's going to be more of it next year. And when you have lesser guys, you know, lesser players, I should say, lesser amount of players is what I mean, in the fields, it makes it a little bit harder, because more often than not, these were elite players. There's always going to be a couple outliers, like Kurt Kitayama at Bay Hill, or when we had Wyndham Clark at the Wells Fargo. There's always going to be a couple bombs, but more often than not, you're getting guys 10, 15, 20, 25 to 1 that win these outrights on these shorter fields.
So we go to the Tour Championship, and Kelley, what this does is we go from 70 to 50 to 30, and now it is going to be your final 30 players. Scottie Scheffler, if you don't know exactly how this works, guys, the whole reward of getting to this and your season accumulation of points and everything that you've done along the way gets you seated in this with starting strokes. And so basically Scottie Scheffler comes in as the number 1 seed and actually starts 10 under par to start the tournament. Viktor Hovland, your 2 seed at 8 under, Rory at 7, Jon Rahm at 6, Lucas Glover at 5. And then we start to get into bunches, right? So Max Homa, Cantlake, Harmon, Clark, and Fitzpatrick all at 4 under, Fleetwood, Henley, Bradley, Fowler, and Schauffele all at 3 under. And then there's a group at 2 under, 1 under at even par as well. So, you know, Kelley, it's one of those deals where, you know, you look at Scottie Scheffler and the odds board this week of over at DraftKings right now, plus 140 on him to take this thing down. And there is something to remember, that for 5 of the guys in the field, he's starting 10 strokes ahead of them. For 5 of guys in the field, he's starting 9 strokes ahead of them. For 5 of guys in the field, he's starting 8 strokes ahead of them. And we are talking about not only the best player in the world, but the guy who has been week in, week out, the most consistent player on tour as well. It is not only a handicap, but it is even a bigger handicap with as consistent as Scottie Scheffler has been.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a, like, I know this hasn't been a fun betting tournament, I think, for almost anybody over the past few years.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tiger Woods, in 2018, because that's what changed all this thing. Remember when he won in his return to Atlanta, and then Justin Rose, like, sheepishly standing there with the big trophy and the big $10 million check. It's like, oh yeah, he won this whole thing and nobody cared, and FedEx pays gazillions of dollars for this sponsorship inventory, so they want their award to matter. So that's why we have this starting strokes, which I like for that purpose. I obviously hate for betting purposes.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we'll spend on this pod, because I know everybody does this, but it's do I like this format? No, I don't like this format. Is it better than what it was? Yes, it's better than what it was. Do I have the correct answer, though, of what it really should be? No, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to get on their soapbox and rage over this format, but like, I haven't heard any like great pitches out there of what it should actually be changed to.
Exactly. It's just, you gotta reward the guys who were most consistent over the course of the year, and you know, it's almost the only way you can do it. You know,
the bigger problem I actually have is the massive points they give in the lead up playoff events to the tour championship, but. Look,
but that's also your reward for making it in the first place and whatever,
right?
So it's kind of goes hand in hand with all that. But Scottie Scheffler plus 140, Rory McIlroy plus 330, Viktor Hovland 5-1, Jon Rahm 8-1, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele 16 to 28. So there's a big jump between Cantlay and Scheffler. Of course, that's when we start talking about these starting strokes kicking into play. There is another market of winner without starting strokes, and of course that just means the best 72 holes. Rory McIlroy plus 450, Scottie at 5-1, John Rahm at 8-1, Xander at 9-1, Viktor Hovland comes in at 10-1, Cantlay 12-1, Max Homa 14-1, and then everyone else 20-1 or longer. When we get back, we'll get a quick little look at this course from Wes and the breakdown that he's got, and then we'll get to our betting cards. Kind of slim right here on our betting cards this week, guys. Don't have to force bets in the last week of the year. So again, stick around. Course breakdown coming at you. Welcome back, Matt, Wes, and Kelley. Wes, let's get right to it here. What are we looking at Eastlake?
Yeah, Eastlake Golf Club here in Atlanta, GA. Donald Ross design. It's been the permanent home since 2004. Reese Jones did make some renovations in 08 and also 2015. Par 70, 73-46. It's a par 72 for the members, but they convert a couple of these par 5s to par 4s. So you look at this, Bermuda greens, and they've had Bermuda since 2008. The narrowest fairways on tour, actually, 24.5 yards on average. These are zoysia grass, so different little bounce. If you remember when we were talking about Memphis a couple weeks ago at TPC Southwind, very similar fairways. The rough, 2.5 inches thick. It is Bermuda rough, which is a little bit trickier because it can wrap around the ball a little bit. So, you got to hit fairways here, and you've got 12 on the stint for the greens. This actually was one of the easier, I think it was the easiest last year to putt on tour. So 12 is about middle of the road stint meter-wise, about 5,600 square feet are the greens on average. Does play at elevation a little bit here, fourth highest on tour. You wouldn't think so in Atlanta. I mean, there's no elevation here, but you have a lot of uneven lies. You're playing uphill to start that front nine. So east-west direction, so it's either playing into the wind or downwind, so that can play a factor. Just look at this. A lot of Donald Ross greens that are vintage greens that you see on other designs. Back-to-front slopes, mowed off runoff in the collection areas, so that is something you definitely want to keep in mind here. So when I looked at correlated courses, Augusta, Southwind, Quail Hollow, TPC Potomac, Innisbrook a little bit. So that's what I looked at basically on like the course breakdown here. It's a pretty straightforward course. Not the easiest, but not necessarily the hardest either.
Guys, we're going to come back with our full betting card here in just a second. But as always, and we haven't done it in a couple of weeks, so it feels good to say, let's head around the world with Wes Reynolds.
Yes, and we head to the Czech Republic this week on the DP World Tour. Last week in Northern Ireland, Daniel Brown, 65-1, wins by 5 shots over Alex Fitzpatrick, who is the younger brother of Matt Fitzpatrick, who actually won his first pro golf event 2 weeks ago on the Challenge Tour. So now we're at the Czech Masters. Top of the field is Shane Lowry, who's pretty much a lock to be on the Ryder Cup team, but he's over there to get some reps. He is the 11-1 favorite. There's Adrian Meronk right behind him. Ludwig Aberg, who played most of his summer on the PGA Tour, got his card through PGA Tour U, as did Adrian Dumont Deschard, who is at 20-1, who got his Corn Ferry card, and he's already clinched his PGA Tour card, winning on the Corn Ferry Tour. So you got a lot of the guys that are kind of on like the back end or looking to be on the back end of that team for the Ryder Cup for Team Europe that are in this event. The Højgaards, Robert McIntyre, Victor Perez, I mentioned Meronk, Ludwig Aberg. So this course over in the Czech Republic, just outside of Prague, Albatross Golf Resort, 74-68 at altitude, par 72. So just a few that I played this week, and, didn't go like really deep. I don't really model a lot of DP World Tour stuff, but I played a little Robert McIntyre at 25-1. He missed the cut last week in Northern Ireland, but they do pair him, and the European captains over the years have done a very good job of this, where they can dictate, because the European, or the DP World Tour, I should say, is the sanctioning body for the Europe side and the Ryder Cup, so they get to like mess with the pairing. So you got Robert McIntyre paired with Luke Donald this week, who is the European Ryder Cup captain. So pressure, but an opportunity to show in front of the captain. And then the third member of that pairing, who's been one of the better players on the tour this year, Alexander Bjork, 30-1. great season on the tour statistically, 7 top 10s, hasn't won yet this year. But the fact that he gets paired with Donald should give him some confidence of like, hey, you're being considered here. Antoine Rosner, 40-1, 13th here last year. He's one of the better ball strikers in Europe, 4th on the DP World Tour for greens and regulation. Wilco Nienaber, the South African, 50-1, 4th last week in Northern Ireland, 1st on approach, 1st in putting, was 8th here last year. Nathan Kimsey, 60-1, if that name is familiar. He lost the playoff about 6 weeks ago to Vincent Norman at the Barbasol Championship, 2nd in scoring average on the DP World Tour. And then I played Matty Schmid, 70-1, real long hitter. Had missed half his cuts this season, but he played primarily on the PGA Tour, so could be a drop in class. So that is the card for the Czech Masters.
They're really getting interesting with these tournaments, Matt, because we got the Fortnite Championship, where people got to play golf and then play Fortnite afterward.
Yes,
and this one, I can only assume, Wes, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons after you play a round of golf at this one, right? The D&D.
D+D Real, Czech Masters here. And we are getting to some interesting events, though. I think in a couple weeks, we're going to have that European Masters, which is over there in the Swiss Alps. So these events actually really do matter for the back end of the Ryder Cup, because you got to think you've got 8 or 9 pretty much locked. I think Sepp Straka making the top 30 for the FedEx Cup playoffs probably gives him a spot. So you're looking at several guys for 3 spots on that European team.
Well, it's, the Olympics is coming up, Kelly. And so the biathlon is no longer like skiing and shooting. It's golf and then checkers. It's like golf and then Dungeons and Dragons.
Golf and nerd games.
Yeah. So you go and you do that. That's what's going on there.
I
so
like it. I'm down.
Yeah. They got to get them ready for all that. Kelly, I didn't look, I ran a model just for the hell of it this week. It had nothing to do with anything. It was more just a curiosity factor for me. I don't know if you did. I don't know if you went off of your model or whatever. I mean, here's the thing. I knew before I went in exactly what the results of the model were going to be and exactly how I was going to bet anyway. And then all I did was do it for fun, and exactly the way that I thought it was going to come out is exactly the way that it came out. And so again, it was more for fun for me. I don't know what you did.
Yeah, I did. I would say it was an expedited process this week, but yes, I did put together one. I wanted to see as well what the results were. The top of it were, I would say, the top of every model I ran. There was no surprise, just like you said. I will say that I utilized it. Yes, I think you said at the top that you have 2 bets. I have 2 bets too. One of them was a little bit of a model push. I will say that.
Okay.
It was. So, it's a further down the board play. We'll talk about it, but it was fueled by the model a bit for sure.
Wes, did you model this week for this tournament?
A little bit, just for context. I looked at total driving because these fairways, like I mentioned, are very narrow, the narrowest on the PGA Tour. So I did a little more total driving instead of distance. Fairways gain, good drives gain. Just for some context, greens and regulation gained 63% as the GIR average, which was the 9th lowest last year of any tournament on the PGA Tour. In terms of proximity, 30% of the approaches are from 200 or more, so you're going to have some long iron shots. You're also going to have some wedges, so 125 to 150. And then bogey avoidance and strokes gained around the green, just because you got some tricky lies here with the Bermuda rough really around the green. Sometimes it could get difficult to get a consistent strike with a wedge. Like I mentioned, Bermuda rough tends to wrap around the ball and the club a little bit more. So you want to look, I think, at around the green. Then I looked at Bermuda putting, even though this was the easiest course to putt on tour last year.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to go very deep on the card. And so when I saw the first 6 names in every version of the model that I ran, I was like, well, this is pointless. No need to do this anymore, because it was the 6 names that I knew it was going to be. And at that point, you can basically put them all in a hat and pull them out. So, Scheffler, Rahm, Hovland, Cantlay, McIlroy, Schauffele, basically every single version of everything that I ran. So not a lot for me to glean from modeling this week. And so I really just kind of went pretty straightforward. We will get to our betting cards here when we get back. Guys, before we go on this quick little break, if you don't mind, hit the pause button, go down, hit subscribe on this thing. This is not our last pod of the year. We will go ahead and look at some other things that are going to be happening in the golf world, specifically the Ryder Cup and anything that comes along with that. So we will be back. So please go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give us a 5-star. And if you want to leave a comment in there, that helps as well. Full betting card coming up. Long shots here on VSiN. It is Matt. It is Wes. It is Kelly. And Kelly, without further ado, you have 2 bets. I have 2 bets. What are your 2 bets? Yes.
All right. We talked about it yesterday. I pulled the trigger, Matt. I went Scottie Scheffler plus 140 to win this
You
thing.
and me both, my friend, for as
Yeah.
much money as the books here in town that would allow me to bet 140 on him would take. So I just,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
I
Well,
did it.
good, good for you. Yeah. Plus 140 for me. I'm not even going to sit here and act like it's even that big of a bet. This is like a NBA Thursday night sized bet for me, probably on Scottie Scheffler at plus 140. I think that look, we broke it down. I think you're still getting a little value on that number. We talked a little bit about that yesterday.
For context, if you guys didn't listen to yesterday's pod, look, it's not the end all be all, but there's a lot of very smart guys out there that use data golf and their stuff to kind of take a look at. And it is plus 140 at DraftKings right now on Scottie Scheffler. They actually have the odds of Scottie Scheffler, according to their models, at plus 122. So there is actual value on betting Scottie Scheffler according to the data golf simulations and what their model is spitting out.
Yeah, and then even if we kind of talk about some of the some of the sharper golf bookmakers that we have here in town too. It's like Circa Westgate, you're not getting those prices. Like it's plus 120 or less over at both of those shops too. So that I did take that into account a little bit as well. So not a big bet for me there, Scottie Scheffler. I'm going to float something at you guys though. I'll tell you the one I got tempted in, Matt. It was Scheffler top American. You can find minus 180 out there. Okay. The price is too steep for me. I couldn't end up playing it, but boy, did I get close because let's play the leaderboard game, right? You start going down that leaderboard. You don't even approach an American until you hit Lucas Glover, who's 5 strokes off. And then you got to start talking about maybe some of those guys at 4 under par having to go and
I didn't see that market.
Down.
Yeah.
It's up in
big
town.
Comeback.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys think about it. I waffled back and forth. I almost went and bet it, and I'm like, I can't lay minus 190. I don't think on
if we'd have given Scottie Scheffler a 5-stroke lead in like 5 other tournaments this year, he'd have won 5 more tournaments. He literally would have 5 more titles under his name.
We talked about this actually, Matt and I on Long Shots in terms of when we were previewing the FedEx St. Jude before Memphis. It's like, you know what? Maybe the bet is not to bet him to win the tournament here this week in Memphis, but to bet the FedEx Cup. Now, did I have the foresight to actually hit submit? No, but you could have got it. You could have got it 4-1 or better.
Right.
You got it even like plus 450, and now 3-2 right around plus 150, and that's the way I would go. I mean, I think he is going to win the FedEx Cup because I think he's got that scar tissue too from last year. Remember when Rory caught him?
Yeah.
Basically late in the back 9. So I think, and the fact that he's probably smarting from the fact that he felt he should have won in Chicago last week. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that bet is going to cash. I think that he does win the FedEx Cup.
Kelley, what's bet number 2 in the account right now?
Bet number 2, which was a little model field, Russell Henley. I played a top 10 on him. I did play a top 10 on him at plus 145. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, Matt, but I'm gonna shout out to you, but also kind of screw you because you got in my head a little bit of the playing some of these matchups and what's the motivation going to be down at the end monetarily wise for these guys. And I think that is something to keep in mind this week, and it's I think it pushes you away from some bets. But I think if you're looking, at least in my mind, the conclusion I came to, I was fine looking at guys to make a run and maybe into that top 10 area. Because
that's where the money jumps are significant. Yes,
exactly. That's where the money jumps get significant by like $500,000, $1 million every place you go up. So those were the ones I considered a bet on Colin Morikawa in this market too. Ended up passing on it. But yeah, Russell Henley, top 10 plus 145. Those are the 2 bets I've made.
I already tipped my hand on Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler plus 140 as well. And I went ahead and just at plus 550 took Viktor Hovland. Come get him. If you come get him, then so be it. I will take a plus 550 on that. I'll have the 2 guys that are starting ahead of everybody else. One guy, the most consistent player on tour all year, and the other guy who's riding a hot hand coming in with one of the best rounds I've ever seen played on a golf course. So yeah, give me those 2 guys. Come get them. If you can, Rory, do it, my friend. If you can do it, John Rahm, come do it, buddy. I don't think it's going to be you, Lucas Glover. So I'm feeling pretty good about those. Only 2 bets in my account are those, Wes. What you got going, buddy?
Yeah, nothing yet on the matchup market for me because, by the way, and we should make this clear to the listeners, the matchup market, if you don't know so already, includes the starting strokes. I don't think there are very many shops that are going to have separate matchup markets.
Good call, Wes, because that is not clearly lined out at a lot of shops. Yeah.
Now it's probably a tell when you see Scottie Scheffler minus 450 over John Rahm.
Right.
It include, but you're going to get all of these, even the ones that are a little bit more evenly split. These are with the starting stroke, so definitely keep that in mind. So no matchups at this point. I may just go round by round with this thing, but all I have 3 in the low 72 hole market, which it's termed differently based on whichever book you play at.
Right.
So this is the non-starting strokes market. So who's going to be the low 72 hole scorer? And the first guy that came to mind was the guy that was the low 72 hole scorer in 2020, who also has a win here, won on debut in 2017. Xander Schauffele, 12-1 to be the low 72 hole scorer. He starts at 3 under, so he's 7 strokes back. But he's got great course form here. By the way, he's never shot over par at this event. 24 career rounds, never a shot an over par round. I thought he was pretty solid at the BMW last week. 3rd off the tee, only behind Hovland and Scheffler. So the driving game is in very good shape. And while I'm on that, I can actually run through a few trends here since the starting strokes format began in 2019. The worst the leader, by the way, at 10 under going into this event has ever finished was T3 in 2019. So there's some credence to what you guys played there on Scottie Scheffler. The second place guy, though, at 8 unders only finished inside the top 5 once in 4 years. That I thought that was a little bit odd. No player from 1 under even has ever even been in the top 5. They're just too far back. But every year, at least somebody at 2 under has been inside the top 5. And then the top 3 has also included one player who at least started between 2 and 4 under par. So that lends some credence maybe to like a Xander Schauffele, or if you played, Tom Kim or Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley, and the other 2 guys I played in the low 72 market. I actually just mentioned a couple of those names. Sungjae Im, 35-1. T2 here last year, and actually was number 2 in the 72 hole market behind Rory McIlroy. Game off the tee looks pretty good. He was second best in the field on Sunday, 12 of 14 fairways, really good on Donald Ross designs. Of course, always plays well at the Wyndham at Sedgefield. He's actually currently based in Atlanta because Sungjae, it was kind of the funny thing, he didn't have a home because he was always traveling to event to event every single week, but he's currently based in Atlanta. It might be a good home game for him. And then one that Kelley played for top 10, and I will absolutely add that. Russell Henley, 35-1, low 72 hole market. 8-6-2 over the last 3 weeks, 9 top 20s the last 12 starts. Hasn't been to East Lake since 2017 when he was 3rd behind Schauffele and JT, but another Sedgefield guy that likes to putt on the Bermuda, that plays well at that Wyndham event. So I think he could go very well here. He has played some terrific golf, and I don't know how much he's in the mix for the Ryder Cup. He's kind of the guy that gets overlooked, I don't know if he's going to make the team.
Should be.
But he's played really, really good golf. Yeah. And you got a lot of these guys, I think, still, it depends on what Zach Johnson's thinking, but Young, Finau, Bradley, Ricky Fowler, of course, we know Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, a lot of guys in that mix, and a few of them are going to get left off here in a couple weeks.
I really like that 3 under range for dudes that I think that are going to just go balls out, because the prize money 11th to 15th is the only difference is a couple $100,000, but the difference between 10th and 5th is $2 million, right? So it's like one of those things where you look at these guys and it's like, hey, look, risk reward, but it's I'm going to go for this shot because if I don't get it, okay, I lose $100,000. If I do make this, I might make $2 million, right? It's like that 3 under range is the ones where I think they really are going to play super aggressive.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, Matt, because of course we saw the video that circulated from the PGA Tour Twitter account after Tyrrell Hatton finished his round. The poor sucker that has to go brief him, hey, you're still in this, you're 29th, and Tyrrell Hatton's great, thank you. Then he goes, congratulations. because Hatton had like a miserable finish to his round. And so he's a hothead and he's pissed off and mad
wants
at
to go
everybody.
drink probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this guy in his face.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, I'm 29th. I'm starting even par. Like what can I do? It's like I got to play another week instead of, taking a week off because eventually he's going to be on the Ryder Cup team. So it's like, maybe you'd like to focus on that. So I think that's right, Matt. The guy's kind of in that middle, like 3 and 4 under, like the Henleys and the Cantlay, Homa, Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler. Like they still kind of think that they're in the mix because they saw what Rory did last year when he started at 4 under and ended up winning this thing. So they think they could do it. But the guys at even and 1, it's just like, okay, I made the top 30. I'm in all the majors next year. I don't care how I play this week.
Yeah. And guys, the one thing I do want to emphasize that Wes did say, and as we kind of move on, just keep in mind, if you're playing this day to day, there are going to be different motivations, right? Because as we're talking about, there are very minimal pay jumps, and then it gets to very big pay jumps. And so you got to kind of figure out if a guy's going into Sunday and he's sitting 26th, and especially if that guy's name's Tyrrell Hatton, like he's going to punt it off. There's no, it doesn't matter, right? 26th is 540,000 and dead last is $500,000. It's $40,000. Like he is going to punt it off. Like he might come out there actually holding a beer and just like drink a beer the whole way around the course, right? But if you're sitting there 8th and it's $1.5 million and 4th is $4 million, like this is a big difference in motivations, like heading into a Sunday and what guys are going to be trying to do and all that. So just be sure that you're dissecting that as well, because it is a handicap within a handicap, right? It's like, not only are you handicapping the golfers in the way they're playing, but there are definite motivations here and motivation factors going into Sunday, because there are some very insignificant pay jumps and there are some very significant pay jumps along the way.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, everything we do absolutely free on this podcast. So please subscribe, rate, review, everything. We do appreciate that. Thanks for being along for the ride this golf season. Again, not the last podcast we're going to do this year. So you can benefit by going ahead and being a subscriber. For Wes, for Kelley, I'm Matt. Good luck on all your Tour Championship bets.